The moment I started to make a little bit of money and I was like, man, I want to get back to my old self. I felt like a piece of me came back whenever I was able to like ride motorcycles again. I didn't ride for years because I didn't have time. I was working nonstop. But the moment it came back, it was like, oh, there I am. That's who I was. This feels amazing. And then I just started to operate at a higher frequency because I was truly myself. So core values, understanding them. And what are some of yours?
Yeah, so absolutely. The first one is faith, right? And faith-based people, and we can talk a little bit about this. I mean, people come from all walks of what faith means to them. Faith, like if my work and mission and actionables don't come from my faith, I'm going to be a serious mess. So faith, boldness, acting boldly, systems and processes, passion is definitely one of them. I can't do anything without that.
But this is your default, right? So every time, like, oh, that doesn't align with me faith wise. Hope that doesn't align with me family wise. Oh, I want to take that job. It's $1 million a year, but I would never see my family. Nothing. Nope.
Exactly. And this is where people get really hung up. So
Because what happens, and this is what's amazing, is I think they lie to themselves, and maybe you can attest to this. I'm only going to do this for a month or a year or 6 years, and then I'm going back to that. The chances of you going back, very, very slim, right? So you need to build it the right way from the get go.
exactly. Or they're just sucked in, just totally sucked back in.
This happened to me, and maybe you have a great story, but I built my business and it took years. I went away from everybody. I gave up all the things that I loved, motorcycles and all that. The moment I started to make a little bit of money and I was like, man, I want to get back to my old self. I felt like a piece of me came back whenever I was able to like ride motorcycles again. I didn't ride for years because I didn't have time. I was working nonstop. But the moment it came back, it was like, oh, there I am. That's who I was. This feels amazing. And then I just started to operate at a higher frequency because I was truly myself. I don't know if that happened to you, but you can go back to yourself. But once you have designed a life and you're living your life the way you want, people notice it. Opportunities come your way because you're not fighting the winds anymore.
That's happening to me actually real time in my life right now. So realizing that you can coexist with everything that's important to you and you can be yourself and you can, that's what life by design means to me. You just summed it up, that you design your life around your passions. You might have to put in a lot of work and lose yourself a bit, but you can come back to yourself and be true to yourself. That's what this all means to me as well. Be true to yourself, living your truth, which actually isn't a core value, just straight up truth. Like we have a responsibility to speak the truth, live transparently and truly. I think that's probably the number one compliment that I get from employees and clients is just like, man, you got nothing to hide. And that's like the highest compliment that like that I just feel run through me, because I think that it's so rare. Maybe I forget that it's rare that you run across people that are just living in their truth and living a life by design. I think it's become incredibly rare unless you're surrounded by a bunch of entrepreneurs that are on the same mission on this planet. But in the corporate world, I think it's very refreshing to people when they stumble across this. It is available in corporate America, but it does take some digging, right? And that's part of what we're helping people with, to find the right teams, the right companies, the right fit, because this does exist. I don't want people living in this lie that there aren't amazing companies and leaders out there. There are, but just most of them are missing the mark on this.
Did you notice a client of yours start to find themselves or to build their life the way they want, and it almost felt just like natural, like a fish in water, where all of a sudden it was, oh my God, like I'm excelling faster, I'm happier, things are happening the way I expected them to. So like all of a sudden, once you put the right equation together, the right variables in the right order, it was almost like less energy, higher results.
Yes. Yeah, instead of a flopping fish out of water, yes. Like yes, there does come a pivotal moment in this process where things become, data wise, they become less up and down and more just up, on an upswing. Yes.
And Jordan Peterson talks about building the day that you want. And like you said, I'm glad you brought that up, Sarah. Take note of this. It might not be right away. but at least being very aware what your perfect day looks like. Therefore, you're working towards that. And then once it's there, you're very, very grateful that you were able to make it happen. So create the perfect day or this perfect schedule the way you want, or try to. Therefore, you start to work towards it, right? And that is also in alignment with what happiness is. Okay, this is the goal. This is the perfect schedule that I want. This is the perfect life. I'm working towards it. And I see these things start to happen. And therefore, I see and feel momentum.